There's a lot of conflicting advice out there when it comes to saving your marriage. And there are so many experts that are very popular and a lot of people respect their opinion, but they give awful advice. To start this video off, let me show you some of the worst advice I've ever seen from someone you probably know.
My wife told me a week ago she's gonna divorce me because she wants easy and something different. It's f***ing with my head.
You said your wife wants to divorce you?
Yeah, she's about to.
Yeah, you brought that
She does.
live,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah. And it's f***ing with my head, my self-confidence, and what's your advice on how to navigate?
Shit. Honestly?
Yeah,
Have you been good to her?
yeah.
Real good?
I can do better.
I'm gonna be real.
Yeah.
Fuck her.
The man just admitted that he can do better. And what's David's response? Look, this is a prime example of someone who is projecting their own experiences with relationships and marriage onto someone else. Someone who has little to no experience professionally in saving marriages. I'm not gonna go to Gordon Ramsay for mental health or anger management advice. So why would you go to David Goggins for marriage advice? You can go to him for discipline, how to work out, or the right mindset. He's brilliant at that, at teaching just raw grit and pushing through it, defeating that weakness. But this is a prime example where you can go to someone who's an expert and listen to everything they say. You have to have a grain of salt with who you listen to. The guy admitted that he could do better, and David's response is to just bail out. You see, the reason why that is not gonna work, and we're gonna go on this a little bit deeper, the reason why that's not gonna work is because there are certain things about this man that I don't know, but neither does David, that cause his wife to want to leave him. A woman does not leave a man in a relationship unless there is a good reason to do so. Let's continue.
She doesn't want you anymore. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a hard reality.
Yeah.
I've had several motherfuckers not want me anymore. And it hurt, lost weight, gained weight, couldn't sleep, crazy. While that motherfucker's out there getting ass, chilling out, going to club, and I'm fucking miserable, wasting time while she's living. It's a real easy answer.
It's not an easy answer. It is not an easy answer in the slightest, okay? And the fact that he said, I had these mother effers going after me, saying I'm wrong, or whatever the heck he was talking about, that's a prime example of him projecting his own worldview onto someone else. This guy has a completely different circumstance, life experience, relationship history he has no idea about. And the saddest thing about this is this video has 1.7 million views, 56,000 likes. And honestly, the fact that this is so popular is alarming. It's concerning because so many men are looking at this and it's justifying their own beliefs that like, yeah, my wife's the one, I should just ditch her. It's like, okay, man, take that attitude to the next marriage and see what happens.
But you gotta stop the feelings you feel right now.
Yeah.
There's something, like I said, there's something that everybody's dealing with. And your feelings are the one thing in life that will hurt you from moving forward.
That has to be the worst advice ever. Your emotions are signposts and guides for how to operate in your life. Your emotions are more intelligent than this conscious mind. It's that intuition. It is a signal. And from David's perspective, he had to learn to suppress I read his autobiography, I listened to interviews of him. He had to learn to suppress his emotions growing up with his father. He couldn't express them. And so many men I work with, that suppression of the emotion is why the wife feels disconnected in the first place. Because she doesn't know who you are. When you're hiding who you are, your emotions, she feels that insecurity. She feels that manipulation. It is a manipulation. You're trying to control your perceptions of you, her perceptions of you. You're trying to control that if you don't own your emotions. So that's an example of bad advice, right? As bad as that is, I did find 3 experts on YouTube, on the internet, in the world that actually give good advice. And so I'm gonna give you the top 3 lessons that I've honestly never taught you on this channel because I had to scour the internet to find these lessons that are actually really powerful in order to make your marriage thrive, especially if she's considering separation or divorce.
It's a vow, and it says, look, I know that you're trouble. Me too. So we won't leave, no matter what happens. Well, that's a hell of a vow, but that's why it's a vow, right? That's why you take it in front of a bunch of people. That's why it's supposed to be a sacred act. It's like, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? Everything is mutable and changeable at any moment. Well, go ahead, you live your life like that and see what you're like when you're 50. Jesus, it's dismal. 2 or 3 divorces, your family's fragmented, you've got no continuity of narrative. And it's not good for the kids, not by any stretch of the imagination. And so it's a form of voluntary enslavement, I suppose.
That's such a dismal way to look at marriage, but it's kind of true, right? Like marriage is voluntary enslavement. You are choosing, you're deciding, decide means to cut off all their options. You're deciding to commit to one person. And that is a form of enslavement. It is sacrificing freedom. But you have to ask yourself what for. You see, a lot of men, I was talking to a guy last night on a call in the program, and I asked him, why her? Why put in all this money, time, and effort for her? He listed all these beautiful reasons why she is special, why she is golden. And it almost made me tear up, to be honest with you. It's why I do what I do, to see that love and that connection. And then he said, Josh, for my own reasons, I made a vow, a commitment to her, to myself, and to the children. And that word, that vow is what's supposed to keep you going. And if you break that vow, if you give up, if you say there's another option, I don't want to work through this with her anymore. I can't work through it. It's too harsh. She won't change. You honestly think that the next woman's not going to have those problems or different ones? I've seen it far too. If that was the case, the divorce rate would go down in second and third marriages. It substantially increases on the second marriage, the third marriage, and the fourth. 66% on the second marriage, 75 to 76% on the third. So these inherent things, and I'll let Dr. Pearson actually explore it more.
It's also equivalent to the adoption of a responsibility, and there's more to it than that. If you can't run away, then you can solve your problems. Because it might be, okay, well, I'm stuck with you. So how about we fix things? Because the alternative is we're going to be in a boxing match for the next 40 years. That's the alternative. So, and you think you're going to fix problems without something like that hanging over your head? There isn't a chance. You'll just avoid them because that's what people do. It's really hard to solve problems, especially in a relationship.
And that's what it is. The man like David Goggins, who's such a powerful hero to a lot of men and shows strength, choosing to give up and move on, it's not a form of strength, it's a form of weakness. We have these inherent problems. I want you to imagine that you are this shape and you have these jagged edges. These jagged edges are these rough spots of you that were developed from trauma, whether it was your father who was abusive, your mother was an alcoholic, your brother abused you, whatever the case may be, right? We all have these jagged edges. It makes us who we are, but a part of the purpose of life is to come into contact with other people and to smooth out those edges. We know what this ideal man looks like. We've seen it. It's the heroes that we look up in mythology. The person has ambition, compassion, loyalty, integrity, all those high form values, is apex male. And the beauty of this is that a woman can only see those edges in a relationship. She will point them out to you. And if you're gonna choose to give up and not fight through this, as hard as I know it freaking is, those edges are just gonna stay there and they're gonna continue to hurt no matter who you come across in your life. So you have the two options. You can give up or choose to work through them like Dr. Peterson says.
To contain a woman in this context is to actively, not passively, create a safe space of well-being for her. The healthy masculine energy creates a container in which the feminine can truly exist and thrive. To do this, a man must take positive ownership of a woman. Many people have a negative association with the concept of ownership. But this means that they threw the baby out with the bathwater, right? The reality is that women actually want to be owned. They just don't want to be limited, oppressed, controlled, or seen as less than.
So if you think that positive ownership is a bad thing, let me show you a quick clip from...
I just had a moment. And that's me and my wife's song too. I met her 86, 87 when the song came out. Then God gave her back to me in 2005. I put her name on the back, man. You understand me. That's mine right there. Yeah, I own you and you own me. I will kill everybody in here about your ass. Please understand that about the way I love you, Marjorie Elaine. You understand me? I kill everybody in here. I swear to God I will. You can ask the Lord about me. I'll kill every... rescued and changed my life.
I own you. You know, they're just words, but words do create these ideas in our head. And this idea of positive ownership, thanks to Teal Swan, I'm gonna link the whole video down below. It is an amazing video that I found of her. Positive ownership is the idea, I talk about this a lot, I talked about the barrier theory. You may have seen me talk about it on this channel. That she has to come into these boundaries you have, these values. You are taking her under your protection, like a child. She is dependent on you, right? A woman evolving, she needs the protection to survive, okay? She could rely on other people like in the tribe, of course, but her man, you, are the main protector. And a lot of men, I'm not going to go too much into our society nowadays and feminism, how that's played a role in a woman's independence and how it's actually hurt women, but I want to do what's in your control. And biologically speaking, on an emotional level, she is needing you to have these inherent behavioral qualities in yourself to make her feel safe, to make her feel owned, protected, guided, led, right? That apex male, okay? And a lot of men, because they put their woman's opinion of her over themselves, which means like you let her opinion affect who you are supplicating to her. Supplication is the idea that you're looking up to her, you're waiting for her, you're pausing, you're gauging your own behaviors based off the way she reacts, okay? As a man, that puts you in reaction, that puts you in the feminine. It's so paradoxical. I was actually having another conversation with another guy on one of our calls, and I said to him, I was like, look, the fact that you are asking me what she thinks, what she feels, what she, I can tell you're living in reaction to her. I know it's scary, but a woman loves a man who goes for risk and fear. But if you take your cards and you lay them on the table, and this is who I am, this is what I want, this is what I'll settle for, I'm willing to lose you. I know that's scary, but the only type of man that does that is the man that keeps her. Because he shows a lack of neediness, right? On a very subtle, nuanced level, when you first meet a woman for the first time you're dating her, this is why it's really good to tease a woman and to flirt with, that's flirting. Tease her, push her away, right? Make fun of her in a banter kind of flirty way, because what that sub-communicates to her is that you're not gonna be needy with her. So what happens when you don't contain properly? Well, Teal goes into share lots of ways and how positive ownership for a woman really supports her. But let me give you a story example of one of the clients where it didn't play out unsuccessfully. It played out unsuccessfully, and then how he turned it around with me. So Jericho grew up hyper intelligent and had great social relationships with everyone else in his life, but his dating history wasn't the most successful. As an intelligent and confident man, it was natural that, he would minimize and demonize his partners, right? Then he came to me for help in his relationship. Now, his complaint was that his partner was too sensitive, right? And she was also too mean. She reacted too much to what he did, and that she had low self-worth, and that was the issue. Now, with the idea of positive ownership and positive masculinity, I told him, regardless of how he felt, the level of his speaking to her made her feel insecure. And if he truly wanted to make her feel happy and provide that safe space to make her flourish, be sexy and feminine, then his masculine responsibility had to provide reassurance and care for her, despite how she felt. You see, his wife Alyssa would just get thrown into a rage and stressed out, and she needed that reassurance. But it was natural for Jericho to shut off his emotions and just use logical defense to dismantle her feelings, because he could do that. He was very intelligent. He could dismantle any feeling she had. But this only made things worse, because it made Alyssa feel like her emotion, it wasn't okay to be her. Now, the truth was that when it came back to the core issue, like we discussed with Jordan Peterson, Jericho had a fear of being too close to others. That was the internal fear. His hyper independence was kind of contorted as this strength that he had, that people who need to get close to others, they can't be independent. Now you can see how the cycle will play out with Alyssa, where he pushed her away, she got insecure, she pushed him away more, and repeated. I helped him realize the role of positive ownership in that containment we just talked about. I said, yes, Jericho, she may have her insecurities with her, but your behavior does influence her. And every time you are logical, every time you are defensive, what happens? She feels less connected to you. And so she'll complain more, she'll get more sensitive, she'll get more reactive, more of what you don't want. So despite how she reacts to you, you have the control to know that that anger, that fear is just hurt. And if you can give her that reassurance over time, it will build up her self-esteem, and what a gift that is. This last clip comes from my friend Preston Smiles. It's all about understanding your wife on just a core fundamental level.
My beautiful, amazing wife is like many mothers. She puts the children and their needs ahead of her own. And it's one thing for me to say, hey, stop doing that. Put your needs ahead, because it'll help all of us, right? It's a whole nother for me to say, hey, I got the dishes. I'll sweep, I'll clean, I'll do whatever I need to, you go take a nap.
What I hear so many times, the commonality, the common thread among a lot of wives in the program that we work with is this stubbornness, this hyper-independence, this masculinity. She may own her own business. She may have always been this way since the day you met her, but that's her trauma. Okay, she wants to be in her feminine. She wants to be taken care of, even if her ego doesn't let her. We all want to be taken care of. And I want you to think back at times when you did take care of her, when you did support her, when you just gave and loved her without any expectation. You see, what Preston's here talking about is that I see so many men where they'll say, I mean, she's so good at cleaning the house, you know? Let me actually show you this funny clip.
Pack the dishwasher and then unpack the dishwasher and cook dinner and put the washing on. And you know what? I can't continue to live like this because it's not me.
Hey, relax. It's gonna be all right.
How?
Here, I'll just show you. Okay, I've been doing this since we moved in. See this basket thing? I don't know how it happens, if it's the house or what, but any dirty clothes you put in this basket, somehow the next day they're just clean, folded, and in a perfect pile on your bed.
You're not serious.
I couldn't believe it at first either, but it just keeps happening. That's why I didn't tell you. I didn't want to jinx it.
I mean, it's funny, but at the same time, on a subtle level, how many men actually do this, right? They're like, well, it's always been this way, and she's been happy before. And I work my butt off. Like, you work hard to make the money to provide for the family. I get that. I do, trust me. But at the end of the day, there's this idea that there's these like traditional marriage, feminine, masculine roles where the wife is the complete caretaker and the man takes care of the money. But if she's working, then you're gonna help out as a man around the house, right? But even if you're saying to yourself, I do that, Josh, don't make it a covert contract. I talk about covert contracts a lot. You can watch this video up here about nice guy habits. The covert contract is the idea that you're doing it expecting something. Did she ever expect anything from you when she was doing these things? Just think about that, right? Thank you for watching, and check out this video right here on the nice guy habits. And if you need help saving your marriage, you can always set up a call down below with our team. Make sure you are fully committed and ready to invest in yourself emotionally, financially, completely to save the marriage, and that you are willing to look at your side of the street and how you affected the way things are. If you take full responsibility for that, then we can help you out. All right? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.